Ooh. Focusing there. There we go. That's how it works. Lovely. Time to start the news. I got the intro fixed, finally! Hooray! It took me 3 weeks, but I did it. Yeah, the intro's quite nice, I'm happy with that. The first bit of news on today's topic list is Microsoft have launched, or are going to launch, a service very much like EA's EA Access service. The service means that you can play a rotating library of games. You pay $7.99 a month and you get access to basically some games for that month, and then it will change every month or every quarter, something like that. And it's very similar to EA's system that they have over there. You pay money and you get games for a little bit. My personal sort of view on any sort of thing like this is only buy it if you are going to use it often enough. If you're not going to use it, there's no point having it. I have Netflix and Crunchyroll are my subscription services, along with Photoshop. Those are kind of essential. Well, Photoshop's essential for me, and the other two I do use often enough to justify, but if you don't justify the usage, don't pay for it. It's not worth it. My other slight issue is that, well, I'm not a big fan of not being able to keep the games. I much prefer PlayStation Plus service instead of PlayStation Now, which means you actually get to keep the games that come through. I think it's once a month you get a game on that service, which is, in my mind, a bit better than PlayStation Plus. The main sort of lure on launch, the hook, line and sinker, is Halo 5 is going to be on there for the first month, along with Mad Max, Terraria and various other games from different publishers. Notable absences publisher-wise are Activision and Ubisoft are not taking part in this scheme as of yet. Putting off because it's getting really warm. And the second bit of news, Nvidia have announced their new graphics card. They brought one out last year, but as they always do, they are bringing out a TI version of their biggest one. So I have a 1080 in this computer down here. This is very nice. And they are bringing out the 1080 Ti. And this thing, oh boy, this thing's pretty impressive. The specs for the 1080 Ti compared to the 1080, it is a slightly lower boost clock speed. However, its memory is up from 8 to 11 gigabytes. It uses exactly the same architecture as the new Titan X with Pascal, but it's just slightly downgraded, just to be, you know, a little bit, I don't know, just to kind of justify the Titan a bit more. Memory bandwidth is up from 320 gigabytes a second to 484. Power drain is up a bit from 180 to 250 watts, and it's a slightly different processor, same as in the Titan, and it has 12 billion transistors instead of 7.2 at the price of $700. Oh dear, that's a lot of specs. Basically, it's just a sort of beefed up 1080, and that's a really good thing, and it's a good price for a beefed up 1080, because let me tell you, the 1080 is a pretty damn good card. My personal opinion on the matter of the 1080 Ti is, if you have a 1080, no point upgrading. If you have anything older than the 10 series of Nvidia cards, then I would consider a 1080 Ti over a 1080 if your budget permits it. If your budget doesn't permit it, however, get a 1080. They have now come down in price, and oh my lord, they are so worth it. They are worth the launch price, and they are worth this price. And the 1080 Ti is even better, which is fantastic news. A bit of fun news now. This was brought to my attention through PC Gamer. The Doom soundtrack has had its, I think, 4th of 5 Easter eggs found out, and in a big homage to the whole 70s and 80s controversy with fundamentalist Christians against heavy metal, thinking there were satanic backwards messages in the records. There weren't. in the soundtrack of Doom, on one of the tracks, if you play it forwards, it just sounds like a garbled whispering. However, if you play it backwards, it says the phrase, "Jesus loves you." Now, in a Doom game set in hell, I find that pretty damn funny, to be honest. That's quite fun. There's a lot of Easter eggs in the Doom soundtrack, such as the waveforms put through a spectrometer look like pentagrams and 666s at various places, and this is just another one of those fun little things which the composer Nick Gordon has put in. And even if you don't like Doom, like if you don't like the game, but you do like heavy metal, get the soundtrack. The soundtrack is pretty darn awesome, and it's got some fun things in it like that, which is always pretty darn cool. Nintendo are in the news again, this time Pokemon Go again. At GDC this year, they have unveiled some plans which, while they're not finished, just sort of vague concept drawings mostly, have outlined some massive changes to the aesthetic of Pokemon Go. Changes include a day-night, sort of an improved day-night cycle with sunset and day and night in, along with weather patterns. So if it's raining where you are, then it will update to be raining on the screen. Your phone will probably get wet anyway, but you know, some extra water, or this fake water. As well as that, they have also added, well, they're hopefully going to be adding new trainer models. Now, I'm not someone who's a fan of the Pokemon Go trainer models. They're not really my kind of thing. However, the ones that were on the little drawing demo things were the trainers of the Hoenn region, which I will show you there. Oh, there we go, Hoenn trainers, those ones. And yeah, if they're going to let you change those sort of trainer models to that kind of thing, and have different ones in there, like all the ones from the different regions, I'm all for that. That's pretty cool. And they kind of needed to change a lot of the aesthetic of Pokemon Go, because it's very sort of clean and clinical, and they've added some 3D to the buildings as well, so it's made a bit more topographical, which, to be honest, just makes the game, it'll make it just a bit more interesting to look at, because it's quite bland as a rule. However, as I said last week with the Pokemon Go news, it's probably still not enough to make me pick it up again. I'd still much rather play a Pokemon game on my DS in my living room. And the final bit of news is Switch related, and this isn't great. Game and Amazon, the retailers, have been having issues dispatching the pre-orders of Switches to customers. There have been several reports of Switches from both those retailers not having actually been dispatched on the launch day as they were supposed to be. This is just another sort of mishap, and that's not great. So that's something to keep an eye out on, is the fact that some people aren't actually getting the Switches on the day that they launched because of reasons that we are not aware. On the subject of the Switch, it has been getting in the sphere of gaming things that I pay attention to, it's been getting very polarized reviews sort of all over the place. A blanket statement is that there are a lot of issues with the Switch at present, but as it stands, a lot of people are also saying that it is still a very fantastic console that just needs a few kinks ironing out. That's also something to keep an eye on. Basically, keep an eye on the Switch. Do not run out and buy your Switch. Keep an eye on what it's doing, and, you know, wait a year. It is not currently worth it for a Switch unless you are desperate to get the new Zelda game, which is actually getting, for the most part, very good reviews. I'm hearing nothing but positive things about Zelda. I've heard the one or two negatives, and apparently it's not worth getting the Wii U port. The performance on the Wii U port, while it's playable, is very substandard in comparison to the Switch. So if you have a Wii U and you really want to play Zelda, basically weigh up whether or not you can afford a Switch and how much you want a Switch, and whether you can deal with it not performing as well compared to the Switch on the Wii U before you jump out and buy it. So that's it from the news show today, and I really need to cut down what I'm doing in the finale bit, because the last two I've had a bit of trouble with doing the end screen. So, end screen will start maybe now, and I have 20 seconds to tell you that I had done a video on Beholder here that you can watch. I've done a video on the Sims this week, which you can watch there, and you can subscribe here. So thank you very much for watching this news video, and I will see you either on my channel for some gaming videos on Monday, or I will see you next week for more news.